Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Tirso and I'm a creative director based in New York City. In this video, I'm covering resume typography. Even if you're not looking to redesign your resume, these type rules can be applied to any project that you're working on. We've heard that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I feel like that only applies to people. When it comes to design, the designer should have made a better cover. At me if you want, but I don't make the rules. If your resume comes across my desk, I immediately have an idea of who you are as a designer. A major detriment to a resume is when you list typography as a skill, but then you have awful typography. Or if you list InDesign and your resume looks like you did it in Microsoft Word. You literally just lied to me, and even worse, I have living proof on my desk. I want to make sure that you guys present yourselves in the best possible way. If you're new to InDesign, you can check out my tutorial to get you started. And as far as typography goes, just watch the rest of the video. Don't complicate the resume any more than it needs to be, just keep it in black and white. There's actually two reasons why you should do this. The first is that black type on a white background is bulletproof typography for legibility, and also when you send your resume to an employer, more than likely it's going to be printed in black and white. This should go without saying, but your resume should be the standard paper size of your country. I'm in the US, so we print letter size, 8.5 by 11 inches. For some of you, you might be printing in A4, 21 by 29.7 centimeters. My team is probably sick of me constantly saying use a grid, but grids provide structure and they also reduce the amount of design decisions that you have, so ipso facto, it's faster to design with grids. I'll cover grids in more detail later on, but for now, I'm just going to use a 3-column grid. Let's take a look at how I aligned elements on the grid. Since we have 3 columns, we can place emphasis of more important information by giving it 2 columns and giving the less important information 1 column. Let's review the difference between a font and a typeface. A typeface is a set of glyphs, and a font is a particular set of glyphs within a typeface. So Aperçu is a typeface, and Aperçu Light and Bold are fonts. Pairing typefaces is for more experienced designers. I would hold off on that for now until you become more comfortable. Choose a typeface that has a range of fonts. I'm using Aperçu here, and as you can see, it has more than enough to work with. There are 4 main alignments we use in design: left aligned, center aligned, right aligned, and left justified. For your resume, just stick to left aligned. Here are a few ways you can create contrast in your type. We can do this by using different font weights, but make sure to skip a weight. We could also add contrast through size. If you're using a lighter weight, you can go up in point size, and if you're using a heavier weight, you can go down in point size. You can also add contrast through letter spacing, which in typography we call tracking. Tracking is the adjustment of space between a set of letters or words. Kerning is the adjustment of space between a pair of letters. Let's do this from the top. We have my name, and I've also included what I do for a living for easy scanning. In terms of hierarchy, my name is more important, so I want that to be prominent but not too big. I'm using 30-point regular here, and for the title, I'm going to use 10-point bold. You'll want some contact information at the top somewhere. I'm just going to put it to the right side for now. Make sure to include your portfolio site here as well. My styling here is 10 points over 12 points light. I would make sure to include your website here, and I'm going to style that as bold. I do have an intro paragraph here. I don't really love objectives, but I felt like this was necessary when I was applying for executive management. For this intro paragraph, we can establish our body copy, which I am using 9 points over 11 points light. I want the intro to live somewhere between my name and the experience. I won't worry too much about the spacing now, I'll just adjust it later on. The rest of this is going to go pretty quickly. Since we already established our body copy styling in the intro paragraph, we can follow suit with the rest of it and then build contrast from there. And that styling was 9 points over 11 points in light. I want to separate the list items from the body copy. I'll do that by changing the text here to all caps first. Experience is a subhead for this section. It's not the most important, so I'm going to go down in point size to 8 points. The title and company are more important, so I'm going to go up in point size, and then I'll also bring down the date down in point size. To build more contrast within the text here, I want the title to have a heavier weight. I'm using medium. And for the date, I want it to go up to bold since it's smaller. Since we can eyedrop in InDesign, I'm just going to jam real quick and style the rest of this column. You want the design to be consistent throughout your resume, so for this right column, I'm just going to pick up the styling from the left side. Type lesson number 2. We can clean up our type by fixing rags and widows. Rags are the ragged edge of your text. What we want to avoid is when the text starts to create shapes. The perfect rag goes in, out, line by line. Widows are the short lines at the ends of paragraphs. You want at least 2 words or more on that last line. So I'm just going to go through and fix the rags. You may not get it to be exactly perfect, but getting as close as you can add a level of detail to your resume. I also wanted to add some design elements here, so I added lines. Now, these lines aren't just for decoration. Our eyes tend to follow lines, so they do guide the reader throughout the page. The dots I incorporated on the left side follow a format which is familiar to a timeline. It's a hard no for me if you have spelling errors on your resume. In a world where there's so many spell check resources, it's kind of hard to explain why this still happens. Attention to detail as a designer is important, so I don't want you to miss a spot. You can certainly push the limits of hierarchy on your resume, so just have fun with it and don't go too crazy. As I mentioned, these rules apply to all typography for your projects, but a resume is a great way to showcase your skills. Use everything we went over to make sure your resume stands out. If you have more specific questions, sign up for a mentoring session with me in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.